Hello, this is my third video in the series on creating this tiki head here. I made a video earlier showing how I penciled it, and then another video on how I inked it. Today I'm going to be coloring this guy using the brushes that I have available for sale in Manga Studio 5. You can get those from my website at www.flylanddesigns.com. So let's get started. I find coloring to be the most challenging stage. It actually takes the least amount of time for me, but I just have never, I don't know, I've never been as comfortable with color as maybe I should be. But here's my typical process. I first go in and block in all the colors with basically random colors. It really doesn't matter what they are at this point. All I'm doing is trying to get my flats because I'm going to use this for selections. This will make the painting process super quick, and I don't normally have to stop to like create masks or a lot of selections. And I skipped that part in the video because it's kind of boring. But basically I just went in and filled in all this color. So, to get started, I make a copy of that layer and then make it usually just a desaturated blue, usually just to have something other than white staring at my face. And I will kind of plan ahead and grab a color scheme either from artwork that I liked, artwork I'd done before, or maybe palettes, or just from experimenting. In this case, I found these swatches. I don't even know where I got them, but I'm going to try to use them to kind of have a more harmonious color scheme. What usually ends up happening though is that I will get started, and then by the time I'm done, I've changed the colors and everything, so it doesn't even resemble that. But it does help at the beginning, because otherwise I'm just grabbing colors at random. So what I do, start with just a regular old soft brush. Real big. And I'm going to just start with the colors that I know I want. So I'm going to get this red, and if I select the flats layer and make it a reference layer by clicking this lighthouse icon and changing my wand to selection for reference layer, that's a preset, then no matter what layer I'm on, when I click on something that was in my flats, it will make that selection. It's fantastic. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to block in the colors here and do a lot of soft gradients, and I'm not going to worry about the shadows at all at this point. Right now I'm just sort of placing in the colors that I want. So let's make another window, and again always make a second window at a small size. And I like to fill it in with the soft brush instead of just filling the color like with the paint bucket, because it gives just like a little bit of variation. Whoa, what's going on? There we go. And sometimes you can still see that blue coming through underneath. And as I said, I'm so indecisive. These colors might change a bunch of times. But I find it's helpful to start with something that works at the beginning, and then it becomes a lot easier to change the scheme later on. That's actually a really popular question that I get, is how do I choose colors? And I find that's funny that that people are asking that of me. Well, actually, it's really funny at all that anyone's asking advice from me to begin with. I appreciate it for sure. But with color, like I said at the beginning, I'm so unsure about color that for anybody to ask me, like I'm some sort of color expert, it's just it's surprising to me. All I could say is just experiment, I guess. My advice would be to try to limit how many colors you use right from the beginning. Then you can always, it's much easier to add more colors in once you have the base down, because you can kind of, it's much clearer what the overall scheme is going to be. And once I get a lot of colors down, Manga Studio has this great color history palette. Photoshop has it now too, but it puts down every color that you use. So it's great. It's a great way to keep your colors from getting muddy. So muggy. What the hell? So I'm going to make a new layer, set it to multiply. And I'll just get a really light purple. Alright, and for this one I'm going to use this brush I made called the Texture Paint and Apply. And I like this brush because when you put down a stroke, you can then kind of smear it or blend it. But it's got a little bit of texture too. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot to do that's really important before I get too far along is there's some line art here that I want to color. So I usually do that just by creating new layers that are knocked out of the line art, and I'm going to fill it in with the lasso fill tool. So here, I think the smoke looks better if it's actually like a light outline like this. Let me see how this looks with something other than black. Also, it works well for like metallic objects and very shiny. Yeah, cool, I like that. So I've found that if you color the line art, it actually ends up meaning that you don't have to color the rest of the image that much, because it adds a lot. And teeth, I usually color the line art of the teeth too. Makes them look shinier. Disney, almost all Disney movies use that technique. If you know, all the line art is colored, you know, it's a good thing to just study Disney and do what they do. They seem to be doing all right. Now, if I were smart, I probably would have done this line art that I knew was going to be a different color on a different level or a different layer, but I'm not smart, so I didn't. Alright, cool. I like that. I'm just going to make it a little darker. And I like keeping the different colors of line art on different layers because it makes it so much easier to adjust the color. And I'm going to brighten up everything a bit. It's one trap I fall into a lot, where if I spend all this time on the line art and then I make the colors too dark, it just ends up hiding the line art, which is pointless. So I gotta watch out for that. All right, let's color the pupil line art. Boom. Nice. That gives it a good cartoon look. Nice. What else? I think actually what's throwing me off here, I think the gums actually need to be colored too. Yep, that was it. And that looks good. Alright, I'm happy with that. So let me go back to what I was starting to do, which was the shadows. So I go back to the shadow. I was using this brush. Grab my color history. I think I was using this color here. Oops, I want to just be working on the skin. I just realized it could probably be confusing sometimes because I always hide my selection after making it, just because I find that distracting. So you may not realize, like right now, I have only the skin selected, so I can be pretty sloppy and not have to worry about staying in the lines. Alright, let's do the reds. Usually just use the same color for all the shadows. I find it makes it kind of harmonizes it a little better, but sometimes I will need to adjust the color depending on what I'm painting on. In this case, I haven't changed it. It's still this kind of like light blue. Always being careful, as I've said before, not to zoom in too far. Right now, I'm working at 25%. The image is about 8.5 by 8.5 inches at 600 dpi. Here's 33%. For this image, I'm going to try never to go more than 33%. Because basically, I'm just going to be working on details that no one will ever see. And it's not just about that, but if you have too many tiny little details, when you zoom out, it's going to make the whole piece kind of confused and muddy. You know, I should say, I'm always trying to learn, so if anybody has any suggestions on maybe a better technique or maybe just any suggestions, you know, please definitely share them. Don't be afraid to hurt my feelings. You will hurt my feelings, and I will cry for a while, but then I'll get over it and I might learn something, so that's worth it. I'm going to use, let's see, I like this brush a lot. Where are ya? Yeah, this dry brush background, it's really cool. It's cool for adding like a really soft texture. I can't really explain it, but I use it all the time. It's just a great way to break up the computery airbrush look. There's another brush in here too that I use a lot. It's called Tasty Shading. It's very cool. So I'm zoomed in at 50%. I promised I wouldn't do that, but here I am. Cool. So now that I got the shadows down, I'm going to go in again and with a soft or textured soft brush. Soft grungy brush here. Oh, actually, I'm going to go with this. And since I had the shadows on another layer, I can paint underneath the shadows, which is handy. So let's go here and let's get like a green. Just trying something out. It's not too bad. Whoa. Okay, cool. So I got that. Now I just have to get the right brush here. Now I'm just going to go around and punch, like lightly punch out some of the areas that would get a lot of color. And I'm not going to make any selections yet. I just want to do it in general. Just touch on the sections that would be getting hit with light. Yeah. Alright, we do the metal. It's going to be real bright. Whoa, way too bright. Now what I can do, I'm going to merge these shadows. And then start putting in the highlights. And I usually use like a comic book cut method for this. So I'll draw shapes with the lasso. I'm just using this soft watercolor texture brush right now. The texture to it is so subtle you probably actually can't even see it on your screen, but it's there, and I find when it prints out, it definitely helps give it a tiny bit more organic look. And I gotta be careful at this stage because this is always where I go too crazy. I render everything too much, and then everything has the same contrast, and it just looks crappy. So watch out. And I always like to do the shadows first because it really helps me get an idea of where these highlights should go. If I do it backwards, I just end up having highlights everywhere. For teeth, I like to actually use this glow dodge, which is similar to linear dodge on Photoshop. For anything shiny, I like to use this because it kind of punches it up and adds color too as it brightens. But if you use that for everything you're trying to make highlights for, it starts to look really artificial. This looks real, really real or anything, but that's not exactly what I'm going for. And okay, sometimes I like to put a little style into the shading. Like I have this dot shading brush that I really like. Let's see here. Yeah, nope. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, let's do the eyes. Okay, now what I like to do is do the highlights like with just an inking brush, so they're really sharp. So let's do this guy. I actually typically usually do these over the line art so I can make adjustments to that if I have to. And since it's on another layer, if any of the highlights are too dark, or I'm sorry, you're right. If any of the highlights are too bright, you can just lightly erase them. I usually just save the bright white highlights just for the teeth. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this. Now what I'll do is just go through and make some like really subtle color changes. I want to try to make this pothole at the top of his head here looking like like fire. Let's see if I can pull that off. Or like it's hot underneath, you know. See if I can do that. Let's get a texture brush out. Okay. Get out my dots. Where are my dots at? I've got this brush here that will kind of do like a color change. Doesn't, I say kind of because it doesn't always work in every situation with every color. Probably like this situation. Alright, I like that. I might have changed it too much, but let's see here. No, I think it's alright. It's almost time for the great second guessing. It's coming up. That's often the stage where I go back and change every single color and then hate myself for 20 to 30 minutes. Alright. But I like this. Something seems off. Let me figure it out. And so sometimes I'll come in here and kind of play around with colors. You know, I'm wondering if these red lips need to be more different than the gums and the teeth. I like the purple, but it's too crazy, I think, right? Also got to be careful at this stage because once you change one color, then it doesn't look right with all the other colors. I want to change the saturation of the whole thing in general. Yeah, I like it. Okay, cool. Let me check out one thing here. Maybe his nose needs to be a different color. I just wonder if the whole thing is getting too colorful. I mean, Tiki guys, they are pretty colorful to begin with. But once again, I started with a very limited color palette. It ended up with a million colors, but I don't know. I like this. I think it's cool. So there. And then as some final touches, I'll just go in, just sample from the colors and maybe add some texture just with a pen. Okay, yeah, this needs brighter highlight. Oh yeah, and I missed this here. These markings should actually be colored. Alright, as I'm about to wrap this up here, I do just want to thank everybody one more time for everybody who subscribed or shared my videos. It really means a lot because I love making these videos because I work all by myself in my basement and it's just sort of like me tossing a rope out to somebody. So it feels great to see that people are actually watching them, and I get a lot of positive comments and a lot of questions that sort of help me rethink what I'm doing. So just huge appreciation for that. Please keep them coming. Maybe because I'm kind of running out of stuff to say. If you want to if you have a question you want me to address in another video, just maybe post it in the comments and I will write it down and make sure to try to get to that. No. This is a funny stage too, because I think this piece was probably done 10 minutes ago, and I'm probably just putting way too much into it. I'm going to keep those flat. Alright. Cool. I like it. I wonder if any part of it is too saturated. There, that's better. I do that a lot too, is at the end just fiddle with the saturation. If you want I use some of my other brushes here to make a background for them. I have all these special brushes too in the pack, but you know, obviously that's not going to come in handy for this piece, you know. Alright, and now for the most important part, the signature. And since I'm a little self-conscious, we're going to make that smaller. Alright, thanks a lot. I appreciate you watching. If you'd like, I have a set of custom brushes for Manga Studio 5 available from my website. Please subscribe to me on YouTube if you want to see more videos, and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot. Bye.